Kitty and I are here today to talk to you until 30 seconds from now when she decides she wants to get down and attack something in the room about the PlayStation 3 because the PlayStation 3 store is closing soon, and this reiterates why both of us, right, Kitty? She says, leave me out of this. Don't really appreciate digital games very much, why we prefer physical games, and what this means for consumers, and what it could mean going forward with pretty much every console ever. Now, there is a point at which you can no longer get digital games, theoretically. There's a lot of things to unpack here today. Be sure, if you learn something new or you enjoy this type of video, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Kitty wants to go and explore the room, explore the gaming treasure trove. And leave a like if you enjoy it. It helps me out a lot, and a comment. This whole situation is kind of a frustrating thing for game collectors and just gamers in general who enjoy playing video games, because the store will be shutting down on PS3 on the 2nd of July of this year, but it will also be closing down on the PlayStation Vita on the 27th of August of this year. Now, the Vita, look, here's the thing. I know this is going to be a shock to you. I don't care too much. However, it's still about the principle of the Vita shutting down, This means that you can't actually get a lot of these games anymore once that happens. That's what you think, right? No, not necessarily, not yet. And that's what's important to note, is that this shutdown doesn't mean that you can't get games that you already own. However, it does mean that you won't be able to obtain games you don't own anymore, or never owned. I guess you won't be able to buy games that you never bought once this happens digitally. And you might say, well, Jay, what's the big deal? Why does this matter? It's a bunch of old games, old thing bad. Well, I get that there's people who feel that way, but there's a lot of things in gaming that have changed, and a lot of games that are seen as just classic gems or hidden gems or just lovely, iconic masterpieces even today. Things like Castlevania. If it weren't for the Castlevania remasters on PlayStation 4 and the releases on PlayStation 3, a lot of those games you're buying, they're over $100 physical. Guess what they are when you buy them in these packs? Maybe 10? Maybe. There's a lot of Castlevania games you can buy on the PS3 with the PlayStation Classic titles that are like $10, $15 instead of $100. And a lot of those have been remastered now to PS4, and that's one thing, right? But it's not that way for everything. Take a game like Mega Man Legends. That game is about $100 physical, Mega Man Legends 2, if you try and buy it physical. And the first one isn't cheap either physically. They're both $9.99 a piece on the PlayStation Store through PlayStation Classic on PS3. Now, I own these games, right? I bought them ahead of time. If I want to, once this service goes down, it's important to note I can still go back and download them for now, right? We don't know that this is going to be a permanent fixture. Yes, for now, trophy support is still there. For now, you can still re-download things that you own at the moment, but you can't buy new things. So, like, for example, Mega Man Legends 2, if you're someone who gets a PS3 now, and yes, that does still happen, people buy old consoles to play old games because gaming is fun and it doesn't have an expiration date, you might have to pay $100 for that stupid physical disc because you didn't get it early on, whereas the digital actually saved you a lot of money, and that was supposed to be the point of digital. That's what I like about digital. It's like instant. It's like, hey, I want this rare game. Oh, it's on the network? Cool, it's $10. That's a lot less than $100. That's supposed to be what's great about digital. But when you start introducing these ideas of stripping away elements of the digital and perhaps eventually the DRM making it inaccessible, that's a problem. That leads to no game preservation. That eventually leads to a console that loses a lot of its utility beyond just the network and the online features. And it also leads to you having spent money that just went into a black hole that you can no longer access. And here's a good analogy for that. I have a Steam account. It has a few hundred games on it. Guess what would happen if I lost that Steam account? If I got hacked, someone stole it, they weren't able to get it back, or let's just say I'm a complete moron, I lose the password and I lose the email and I can never get it back because I'm just that dumb. I lose all of my games. Hundreds. That's what, $1,000 just gone. And there's no way to get that back. There's no way at all. And there's a lot of talk about this with the PlayStation 3 as well, because there's some issues with the internal clock of the system. People have reverse engineered the PlayStation 3 at this point. They've dug into it. People are really getting into the emulation of this system, which is interesting because these moves from PlayStation and Sony are almost encouraging people to go and illegally download ROMs of games that they won't be able to access anymore, And seriously, if you can no longer buy something, if it's not purchasable, Is it even stealing it when you do that? I mean, the law says yes, but really, is it? You know, like where are you going to give your money? If I have $100 and I'm like, please let me buy this game, there's no way to get it. Who's benefiting or losing if I do that? That's what these systems do, is sort of push people into emulation and other stuff, which I have no personal problem with, but the law does at times, depending on how you do it. And it's just a frustrating situation. The whole internal clock of the PlayStation is also synced up to the PlayStation Network, and that's not going to drop at this time. However, because we've now seen that they can strip out features of PlayStation Network without completely shutting it down, at what point is it not worth keeping up the entire infrastructure of PS3 even without that store? At what point is it not worth having trophy sync from PS3 games to the PS4? At what point is it not worth letting you re-download that stuff on the PS3? You know, at what point do they just kill it? Because at this point right now, I have Metal Gear Solid 4 here. This is a game people have been working tirelessly to get running very well on emulation. I own this game. There's a lot of different things you can do to even legally emulate games like this. Like if I dumped my own BIOS from my PS3 into an emulator that I legally purchased, that whole thing, and then I put the disc into a Blu-ray player, that's not illegal. You know, there's not illegal ways to emulate. However, they're time consuming, obnoxious, and a lot of people seem to just go to the easy route, right? The thing with this game right now that I'm holding in my hands is for Sony or Konami or anyone to try and take this back, this disc that I purchased, you can say, Jay, you did not buy the license for this game. You don't own Metal Gear Solid, or you did not buy the IP. You don't own Metal Gear Solid 4. You'd be right. I don't own Metal Gear Solid 4. I can't take this. I can't take Snake, put him in a new game because I own the IP. Konami owns this, right? I own this disc. To steal this disc from me would be property theft. You would have to break into my house and seize this from me and take it out of my house for me to no longer have this game. However, we're now seeing that if this happens, if this goes through even further and further in the future, because the PRAM battery in the PlayStation 3 has to be synced to the clock of PSN, if there aren't changes to the digital rights management of these games, you could eventually not be able to access a game like this if you owned it digitally. It could eventually hit the point where you can't re-download it. Maybe they shut that part of the PSN off. Or maybe you just can't get it because the license doesn't work because your PRAM battery is expired, and then you have to pay to replace a part. And that's assuming that piece of PlayStation Network, this is all like a Dr. Seuss riddle, is still online, right? But with the disc, none of that matters. You can shut the trophy support off. You can kill off the updates. And by the way, that would murder most games on the PS4 and PS5 generation because they're just unplayable without these updates, right? But back during this, most games were still playable. PS3, Xbox 360 era earlier, no problem. Those updates, they fixed a lot of stuff. Most games were still playable without them. You can't take this from me. You can take a digital game from anyone. And that's the thing that frustrates me about this whole thing. People are finally waking up to that and seeing that, but they do this every time. You know, the Xbox Live, the original, shuts down. Oh, I'm going to buy everything physically. Yet physical sales still dropping every year. Movies, games, music, all of it. All of it being just held in the hands of people on some server farm across the world or in some other place other than where you are, and all they have to do to take it away from you, I buy a Taylor Swift album on Spotify. Well, I can't buy it on Spotify, but I buy Spotify Premium. I lose that account. You know, now I have ads. I buy it on iTunes. I lose my iTunes account. I don't have that album anymore. But guess what? I've got about 20 different Taylor Swift CDs, at least in the other room that my fiance and I have collected together, that she's not going to show up at our door and take them. And if she does, she certainly can. I mean, the woman's a goddess. I mean, she can have back whatever she wants. She can take anything from me. I mean, it's absolutely true. I will simp. But no one's going to come to your house and take this stuff. They are going to take it digitally. It's just a matter of time. It ruins game preservation. It makes it so you can't get things easily anymore. These parts break. The people who know how to fix these machines die. I know that's morbid, but at some point there won't be people around who know how to fix a PlayStation 1, you know? Or there won't be people who are around who really know how to reverse engineer and fix a PlayStation 2. These games are just lost in time, like tears in the rain, you know? Like the Blade Runner quote, watch Blade Runner. It's all left me very frustrated and irritated, as I'm sure you can tell. I know this was a very long rant. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on physical versus digital. I understand the benefits of digital. I understand it can be very good pricing. I understand that for some people that's the only way to get games. And I understand that, it is convenient. But it comes at a price, And I think people are finally starting to learn that they might eventually have to pay that price up. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this. Obviously a dislike if you dislike it, unless YouTube hid those dislikes, which is stupid because I appreciate them too. They tell me what you think. Subscribe for more content. Be sure to check out everything in the description down below. We have an official Etsy store my fiance and I run, where we've made some official channel merch as well. I've designed some of the bracelets over there, and so has she, and a bunch of other stuff. Mother's Day is coming up, Easter, all kinds of stuff there. If you ever want to support the channel, but you don't have enough money to buy your mom a present and support the channel. So I know you were going to let your mom down, right? You were going to just support me. Well, here's a way to help your mom too, So
if you don't buy, we'll take your kneecaps.
Oh, well, I don't think we can legally say that.
Oh,
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
We're not taking your kneecaps.
For legal reasons, that's a joke. But for illegal reasons, you watch yourself. Let us know what you think. Have a fantastic day. Stay shway. Play some games. Break out your PS3.